Yeah, I also want to think we're ready. Oh, there's a stack here. Oh, that's just the agenda. I got it. Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The meeting of the Meridian Protection Commission, December the 1st, 3:35 p.m. And we have a formal president. I will start with the roll call. Mr. Ballard. Shoemaker.
Here.
Mr. Lancaster. You want to say something?
Mr. Chair, he's there and I promoted him to a panelist. He's got his hand open up now, so I'm going to re-promote him to a panelist.
Mr. Chair, I also think your mic might not be on because I'm hearing you very faintly, so he might not have heard.
Okay, he accepted now.
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Lancaster online.
Yes, Mr. Chair, yes, he's online.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, I think I heard my name. I think your mic's off, but I'm here.
I can't either.
Hear you a little bit.
Present.
Lance. Next speaker is Spruner of SCHD.
Here.
Austin Miller of Company. Ms. Carson. Will be here. Kate Goff. Price.
Yep. So, Mr. Chair, why don't you give it a minute? Because I don't think they can hear, because I see Mr. Lancaster, Ms. Dahl, Mr. Smith are all online. So I don't know what's going on with the audio. So please just wait a minute and we'll see if we can get it fixed. Doesn't appear that he can hear us.
Caleb, I can hear you. I just
Okay.
can't hear.
Okay, you're coming in pretty well.
Same here. I can
Okay.
hear Jared and Caleb,
I think we got it
but
fixed.
not
Trent.
Walter.
Do you have your
Okay.
microphone?
How about
on?
me?
Yeah, there you go.
We have to turn on both of them, Chris?
Yeah, the green should be on, then the one.
Both on the screen
There
and
you
on
go.
the
I hear you
mic?
now.
Sorry. Thank you.
Glad you improved it. Thank you. Okay. Let's go back to Austin Miller. Miranda Carson. Kate Dahl.
Justin Price. Well, I know Sergeant Smith is here because I can see her in her uniform.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, and you have a guest.
I do. This is Sergeant Morgan Carter. He's going to be my replacement starting this month.
Sergeant, welcome.
Thank you.
And Ms. Murray is being covered by Ali Brashears today. Ms. Shears,
Yeah, I'm here.
thank you. Mr. McClure is off, I know, and Caleb is over there fighting the system. Let's, Sergeant Carter, if you'll give us a little bit of a background on yourself, where you came from, how long you've been here, and welcome.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. As Sergeant Smith said, December 22nd, we make the switch. I have been, well, I'll just go back to 17 years in law enforcement. I've been with Meridian since 2013. Before that, I was with the Canyon County Sheriff's Office. I've done pretty much everything you could do in law enforcement. The past couple of years, I've been the sergeant over the school resource officer team, which is where Tara will be going. I'll be going to traffic. I look forward to that. Some of the disciplines that I currently have with Meridian, I'm sergeant for the crisis negotiation team. I'm also one of the lead instructors for the DUI team. I was a DUI officer for many years, also a DRE, a drug recognition expert, which ties into the DUI aspect. So I look forward to my upcoming assignment. I appreciate you allowing me to be here.
And I will not ask you for comments about my neighbor, Robert,
Thank you.
who works for you as a school resource officer. Okay, Mr. Ballard, welcome.
I was tied up literally.
You may have been in the same traffic I was in. Okay, the first item of business is the adoption of the agenda. Staff have any changes? Anyone on the commission have any changes? Chair would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Chairman, I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
Mr. Leclerc, would you have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ballard or Mrs. Lewis? Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Next is the approval of the minutes of the November 3, 2025 meeting. Comments, questions, changes, motion?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
well, the copy that I saw, now that I think about it, it's been a few days, but it was a link, so maybe it's been fixed. But there were several lines where there was a motion made and it said, motion made by name, seconded by name. I think we need to fill in some blanks. And so if staff could check that while we're here before we adopt the minutes. I don't know. You guys have hard copies that are correct, or what do you have?
The hard copy in the packet has exactly what you just described.
So I think we need to correct those things.
Action line though says who did it. It's kind of a two-part. Looks like to me.
Okay.
Where it would say motion and the action was by Tracy and the second. Is that what you're
Recommend, yeah, yeah. It just looked odd to say no change, motion approved with no changes by name was second by name. Maybe we can combine those two, or we can just get one sentence out of those.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think that is the intent. I didn't put these minutes together, but I do think that it should have just been combined. It looks like the placeholder was retained and it changed out in favor of the second line, the action line, if you will.
So we can presume that will be cleaned up.
I can do that if that's part of the, yeah, for the first two, adoption of the agenda and approval of the minutes. Is that
Okay.
anywhere else?
Anything else in the minutes?
I didn't see anything else. There were other motions, but double check.
Anyone with anything else on the minutes? If nothing else, with the cleaning up we just talked about, we'll entertain a motion to approve as modified.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Leclerc. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, moving along. Information, Staff Transportation Project Tracking, Mr. Hood, your name is by that one, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, just a quick, since I had a couple of glitches there, I do want to clear up the record for who's actually in attendance here. I have some people online that either when you went through their name the first time, didn't hear you, or actually joined right on time or a minute or two late. So Commissioner Lancaster is here. And Miranda Carson wasn't on when you first called her name, but I do see her now as well as Kate Dahl. Commissioner Smith made the agenda, as did Ms. Bashirs. So I think that's Advic has joined us as well.
I'm sorry, who?
Advic Bansal, our youth commissioner.
Okay.
He's also attending. So I think that's everybody.
Okay, so Justin Price with ITD is still not with us.
Correct.
Nor is Austin Miller with Compass.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry about those technical glitches there. So let me share the screen. So this agenda item number 2 begins on page 6 of the packet. There have been a couple of changes, taking some feedback. This is a relatively new format on how this information is portrayed. So Brian did tweak some of that, and we're still open for some comments, but largely I think we're zeroing in on a format. So hopefully you found it more and more intuitive all the time. It's not totally, it's not perfect, and it's the system, the software doesn't really allow us to totally make it how we'd like it to be. But again, hopefully you find this information useful. The last status review is highlighted a little bit more, so you can kind of see when those things have been changed, so that they should pop to the top a little bit, or those things that you catch your eye if you look at those dates, something that's newer. I didn't have anything necessarily to highlight. It's quite frankly a little slower right now. There's things in the hopper with irrigation being out right now or dry, in the waterways. It's some of that work is gearing up. I did attend the pre-con for the next U-Stick Road project here recently. I think I heard some banter even before this meeting about maybe some of the road closures that are happening still in Northwest Meridian, and some of the delays, even to folks on my staff that were late to work this morning because of some of the road closures. So I'm looking for U-Stick and
It's on the bottom of page 11.
11. So maybe that is one to call out too. Don't go that way. How about that? There was an issue, with the government shutdown here recently, and our 404 permit for some of the work next to the creek up there. I actually don't have a status update, but I know that was something that was outstanding that ACHD and the contractor were trying to get resolved with the city, Jared Hale, in our Public Works Department to get that permit processed as soon as possible to keep that project on schedule. So yeah, so I guess with that, Mr. Chair, again, not having anything really prepared to highlight for you, I would stand for any questions as you were thrumming through the agenda item. If you have any comments or questions, I would stand for those.
On U-Stick being closed, that's creating problems all over the place. And Mr. Bruner with ACHD tells me that they're looking at possible signal light changes to various places to help move traffic better. Got to figure out where people are trying to go to stay away from where they can't go. So it'll take a little shaking out, but be patient and leave for places you're going earlier than you normally do, apparently. Mr. Hood, at the bottom of page 10, the Locust Grove and Pine visibility. I read through that, and then I looked at it online. Is there a solution for that, or is it just going to end up being what it is and that's how it is?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, there is a solution. I think it's been a couple of weeks now, but I do know Jake Clough in the mayor's office and Brian McClure in my office did meet with the homeowner and had some conversations about rebuilding the fence in their shed and acquiring a permanent easement, I believe is where they're at now. But there still are negotiations going on there. So that would be the solution, would be to push that fence back and get that vision triangle so it's not a visibility and obstruction there. So
Is the problem with right-hand turns, not being able to see left and making right turns on red?
Mr. Chair, yeah, I mean, that's one of the visual obstructions there that that's primary. I mean, even going straight through, you can't really see oncoming cars, traffic, bicyclists, all kinds of traffic. So yeah, if you're looking northbound, but you're trying to turn southbound onto Locust Grove, that is the angle. You have to creep out almost into the travel lane to see if there's any oncoming traffic. And that traffic is going 40 to 45 miles an hour. So posted speed's 40. So yeah, I can. Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Ballard?
I have traversed that corner for the last 26 years. And I was surprised when that fence went up because it used to have a vision, a 3-foot fence. But somehow they were able,
Need you to get into them.
so there used to be a 3-foot fence, the 30-foot vision triangle. Then there's a 6-foot fence. That's been there quite a while. It does challenge you just to see the traffic going southbound on Locust Grove if you are on Pine. So just kind of curious how that gets resolved.
I think somebody's buying somebody a new fence. Sounds like to me.
That is essentially where we're at. There's some more negotiations to it than that. There's some property boundary adjustments and things like that. But yeah, essentially, yeah, we're trying.
No, I mean,
Yep.
I agree, but if you want to know, it is a hazard.
Yeah.
Anyone on anything else?
I've got a question,
Yes, sir.
if I may.
You may.
Mr. Hood, page 16, Eagle Road speed limits. The text is talking about variable speed limits and reduced speed limits to 45. Several months ago, when we discussed that those variable speed signs would be suggestions but not enforceable if you exceed that limit. Has there been a change in that enforcement?
Mr. Chair, I don't recall that part of the conversation. I believe they're enforceable. I don't know why we would post a speed limit but not make it enforceable. So again, I don't recall that part of the conversation. I'm sorry.
You may not have been here. Help me out,
Ah.
Mr. Lewis. Didn't I get that right?
I think it's gone back and forth a few times, but the last word was that the variable speed limits are going to be enforceable, the black on white signs. Now, I've driven up and down and I've seen some of them that have gone up, and some of those have a little yellow advisory beneath that. With your speed is this. But the variable speed limit going to 45, that's enforceable.
And the sergeant to my left agrees.
Well, I understand it, but the conversation was that was a mere suggestion, but apparently that's been changed.
Sergeant?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioner, that's my understanding. The meetings that we had with ITD was they were not going to be advisory. They were going to be enforceable. The only conversations I've been part of was just the challenge of, on our part, to know that the speed limit was in place at the time that we stop a vehicle. It's kind of similar to a school zone. We have to make sure the sign was operational at the time that we stop them and in that zone. But aside from that, every indication we've been given is it is enforceable.
Well, I'm not arguing that if I got stopped and I said, that's just advisory, that, but I get it, but,
Apparently, if they ever were going to go that way, they didn't.
well, and that's what I was asking, because I specifically asked the question that over in Baker, Oregon, that stretch of the freeway, they have a variable speed limit. And they go, yeah, the laws that are in Oregon allow them to do just that. But I understood at that point on Eagle Road that there wasn't the legal authority to have a variable speed limit. It was a mere suggestion. I'm not arguing if you need to go 45, go 45. Okay. And I was had a curious question.
I think the concept has changed a couple times since we heard about it a year ago.
All right, that's the answer I was looking for. Somebody changed their mind. All right,
Sorry about that.
$5 fine payable to the Sergeant of Arms.
Anything else from anyone?
Not funny, I'm all, okay. I thought that was funny.
Okay, Mr. Hood, anything else on that subject?
No, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Leclerc?
Well, just this kind of a process question. We look at the used to 10 Mile to Black Cat. There's a nice break. They're the last, one of the updates was on 825, and there's a nice little dash that says 825. On a lot of these, there's a long list of updates, and it's hard to tell where the latest one is. Or, unless you just go to the bottom. I mean, you can go to the bottom, but then is it the last sentence, the last two sentences? If we could just, when we do updates on this tracking, is there a way just to put in a date? So we can see kind of what happened when better? Is that a suggestion we
Yeah.
can look at?
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Leclerc, that is, something we heard some similar feedback a couple months ago or so. And again, that's one of the limitations of the software. I'll be honest, when we first started to use this, probably a year ago or so, we weren't thinking that it would be the tool to share this information with you. It was more of an internal kind of a communication. So if you look back to some of the notes that are older, they're, shorthand and not full sentences and really not meant for just internal eyes, basically. We can do some of those things like you called out there, 825. I mean, some things like that we can kind of highlight the date that update was provided. I think I can do a better job of trying to note that in there. It is difficult when you got 2, 3, 4 people in the same document and everyone using the same, system, if you will. But I am trying to do that more so it can draw your eye again to some of those things. Hey, November 2025. And then something from June of 25, you can kind of skim over until you see the next date or whatever. So I hear you there. We'll see if there's some other things we can do to really highlight it. I'm sorry that, you may just have to scan through it. And if you don't know what's most recent, I can maybe help you out with that. But we'll try to make it again more user-friendly going forward.
I suspect part of the problem is that city employees that work with, and other employees that work with this on a daily basis, as opposed to those of us that see it once a month. And it is not easily read to figure out exactly what's going on now. It's good to have the history, go back and how did we get to here? But I'm with Mr. Leclerc. Trying to understand exactly what the last comment is kind of tough, but we'll work with it.
So I will just, and maybe this helps, maybe it doesn't, but we'll use that same example. if you look, the last status review was September 26th of 2025. So really for this month, there's really nothing to look at there. So you should probably just jump to the next project unless you weren't here for the last couple of months and you really want to see, but really there's nothing new on this one, because that last status review in green there was 9/26. So that's what we're trying to kind of highlight. And so if you keep up with this, right, maybe if you miss a month, you want to go back to October, but really you should be looking for those ones that do have updates that are, you know, pretty recent. You know, again, these ones from October, you would have seen in November. So look for anything that has a November date are the ones that actually had something that changed, if that helps. So good feedback, and we'll keep seeing if we can add more bells and whistles to make it, you know, I get it. You only look at it once a month and so we're trying.
Long list. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
easy to, let's go. Mr. Chairman, I have another question.
Yes, sir.
This is for ITD and Mr. Price, if he's here, but we had this government shutdown. Are any Idaho highway projects going to be delayed that you know of? Or certainly ones in our region of the state? Has there been internal notices at ITD recognizing changes in schedules and things like that? Or I don't know. Do you have any kind of update on coming out of that federal shutdown?
So Mr. Chair, I'm just going to confirm, and I looked again, Mr. Price or anyone.
Oh,
Well, Mr. Lancaster raised his hand, so maybe he's going to
Oh, okay.
address that.
Mr. Lancaster, tell us about it.
I forgot. Here.
Right, I can chime in on this one. I know this answer. So, federal government shutdowns really don't affect highway projects at all because FHWA is self-funded by gas tax. So we continue to pay gas tax during the shutdown, and therefore Federal Highway Administration is still in business. And so there's no changes to any project schedules from the federal government shutdown. Might be interesting to note that there were a few delays in northern Idaho because of a strike in Washington. So the construction workers in Idaho that also work in Washington were on strike. So that affected some projects, but not because the federal government shut down.
Thank you, Mr. Lancaster.
Thank you, sir.
That's all.
Anything else? Okay, next item, new business. Item 3, East Third Street Extension Alignment. This is not an action item. It is an information item, and Mr. Hood is going to inform us about the subject.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Tomorrow, during the City Council workshop, they're going to hear from the Meridian Development Corporation, which is the city's urban renewal agency, on transportation topics and potential improvements in their downtown master plan. It's called Destination Downtown 2.0. They've been working on it for the last 3 years now, I believe. And one of the things that will be discussed, and I believe even maybe recommended to council, is to reevaluate the extension of East Third Street and downtown Meridian. Let me kind of get you oriented here. So I put a link in the packet. So page 19, there's a link there if you wanted to look at that as we go through this topic. But in 2008, 2009, well, let me back up even a little bit further. So in the early 2000s, the city, go ahead, Mr. Chair. Yeah.
Can you give us mapping?
Yep. Thank you. In early 2000s, the city was looking at downtown traffic and studying what eventually would become, is it going to share? Oh, that was a good delay. The split corridor. So Meridian Road being a 5-lane roadway that basically was the through downtown traffic, move cars, pedestrians quicker. You don't have any business downtown, but you need to get to the freeway or from the freeway. That was kind of the idea. And then Main Street being the two. So you had the through being Main Meridian Road and the two downtown. You have business and whatever being Main Street, a little slower, speed limits, sharrows, those types of things. Well, part of that concept included some recommendations to look at maximizing the railroad crossing at East Third Street. So we only have the 3 railroad crossings outside of the section line miles. So Eagle Road would be the next one, and then Linda Road back to the west. But maximizing Third Street and really having that function as a collector downtown. It also kind of creates a nice corridor between Story Park, which is right there at Third Street, and Franklin and Fairview Avenue. So really kind of maximizing that. If you've done it today, let's see here. So today it's kind of disjointed with a 2.5 street. Excuse me. Coal Valley Christian School is right here. Sorry that it's very pixelated.
Okay,
There we go.
why am I a dummy?
So there's the post office, Coal Valley Christian School. The old Rite Aid, it's no longer Rite Aid, is right here. There's a Jack in the Box right on the corner of Fairview and 2.5 Street where I'm talking about today. But 2.5 Street is between 2nd and 3rd. That's why it's a half street. And so in 2008, 2009, the city kind of with MDC and ACHD hired a consultant to look at continuing East 3rd Street on from its terminus, if you will, the T point into Carlton Avenue. So 3 alternatives were identified. One basically kind of went through the portables that Coal Valley has on their field today as one option. And then near Badley, it kind of kicked back over to 3rd Street, kind of through this property and this general alignment. Another alignment just had 3rd Street going straight through, and another alignment had it going over to 4th Street and making a 4th Street connection. The preferred alignment was East 3rd Street. I will just highlight for you at that time. So this is about when I started working for the city. Some fourplexes were going through the entitlement process, and they now lie right in the way of East 3rd Street. So if that alignment is to proceed, you not only have right of way, you have to condemn some residential units that are, right in the direct alignment with 3rd Street and that preferred alternative. I will also just highlight that alternative was vetted and accepted by both the city and ACHD. So it's on ACHD's books, if you will, although there's no real project for it. But the alignment was recognized by ACHD as well, and it's talked about in the city's comprehensive plan and some of our other planning documents. But times do change, and things have certainly changed since 2009 in Meridian. So a reevaluation of if that alignment is still the best alignment for our community is going to be brought up. And so I thought we would just take this opportunity. Again, the mayor and council will hear about this tomorrow. I'll also just, one of the things that is forthcoming, it hasn't came just yet, but many of you have probably heard that Coal Valley is looking to build a new campus and unite their elementary school campus that's in West Boise with their high school campus here in downtown Meridian to go to Northwest Meridian. Don't have a true timeline on that, but certainly over the next handful of years or so, they should be out there. And so their field and their campus likely, I don't even know, it may even be on the market now, but they're looking to sell that sometime in the near future, and then again consolidate their campuses into one in Northwest. So that's another thing that is very likely to happen. Let me see.
So what is the downtown group asking of the council tomorrow?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, good question. So I think it may be just to, again, reevaluate potentially and look at this document and rescind maybe some past decisions on if that is the preferred alignment for preservation of right of way. There is no, I think I mentioned it earlier, but there is no dollars set aside to go in and buy right of way, design this project, construct it. It's not the most critical project for the city right now. It's not even on our, in the top few projects. Certainly there's some efforts south towards Franklin and improving the existing Third Street. But again, kind of going in the preferred alignment, there's not a lot that's driving the need for this today. Not to say it's not ever needed. But I think that's some of what the consultant that was hired by the Urban Renewal Agency is going to say is that they won't probably use these words, but that the juice isn't worth the squeeze here, and you should just maximize 2.5 Street and cut off a little bit of the field at the Coal Valley Christian School campus and just let 2.5 Street intersect Fairview. One other thing I just wanted to point out on why some of the reasons why Third Street was a preferred alignment is the offset between, at that time, Meridian Road and Main Street, like we talked about, hadn't been widened all the way. There's since been some changes to the intersection at Main and Fairview, and you can't turn, if you're eastbound, you can't turn northbound into the Albertsons complex there. That's no longer a movement you can make. So there have been some changes, but the separation between 2.5 and the signal at Main and Meridian isn't great. So that was some of the reason to push this further to the east in hopes of getting a signalized intersection someday wherever this collector intersects Fairview. Again, I've heard that ACHD really doesn't have any plans to ever signalize wherever Third Street comes in, or this alignment comes in as a more direct route. It's going to be tough to meet the offsets just because you have Lakes Place that's also got a signal today. So another signal within, 4 signals in a half mile doesn't necessarily meet ACHD spacing requirements. So I think, again, some of the question for council tomorrow will be, is that an assumption we're going to make, is that there's never going to be a signal anywhere between Main Street and Lakes, because those two places already have a signal, and you won't have a northern leg of a signalized intersection likely anywhere there either without, again, buying property or having significant redevelopment occur. So
This seems to me to meet the perfect definition of not ready for prime time. I mean, are they just going to drop this on the council and say, here's some options, which one do you want us to do?
so Mr. Chair,
I mean, they're certainly, I guess, if they've gotten on the agenda, they can certainly ask the question. It's like getting in front of this group and throwing this at us today cold and saying, what do you think we really ought to do?
Yeah, and maybe just to back up, so a couple of things there, and maybe in reverse order. As you mentioned at the outset, this really isn't an action item. We did think it would be good to get it in front of the commission, because we do have some folks that have some history in Meridian. So are there some things, though, that should be thought about as this is brought to the council? Some things that aren't being considered, or some of the history there you'd like me tomorrow to say, hey, council, think about this. If you do this, have you thought about that? Or whatever those things may be that that you think should be considered as this, I don't want to call it proposal necessarily, but it is a consideration, because there's been some development interest in what would be in the 3rd Street and 4th Street right of way, that the existing plan that's adopted sort of gets in the way of that development. So even the private sector is sort of raising the question of, can I not really develop my property here because you want to build a road through here? Is that really where the road's going to go? So there's some of those properties that are definitely impacted by, again, at least the preservation of a corridor if we're going to do it. So I think that is, again, some of the question for a city council tomorrow. And I will say, to be fair to you all, I'm sorry, this is going to sound, they've talked about this before. So the MDC's consultant has already talked to council about some of the transportation elements in the plan. So this is sort of round 2 for them. What's new is the consultant has talked more with ACHD about some of the pros and cons and where are they at, and he's going to report back out to council on what he heard from them.
Chair. Mr. Bell, please.
Mr. Hood? I'm quite familiar with 2.5 Street. Even in light traffic, it is a challenge to turn left from Fairview to get onto 2.5 Street with the traffic coming from Meridian Road in Maine and getting into the turn lane, because at 2.5 Street, you also have some people that want to turn left and go north.
Mhm.
And so you kind of play bumper car in that turn lane. So if I were to vote on an option, I would go, don't use 2.5 to get onto Fairview. If 3rd Street is your only option, I would look at that. But that traffic becomes quite congested, and I'll use a bad example. The road that runs south of the D&B complex, I think that's Wilson Lane. And that's nearly impossible to get in and out during heavy traffic. So I get it, we're trying to manage traffic, but yeah, that between now and 6 o'clock, good luck getting in and out of Wilson onto Locust Grove there. So I'm just using that as an example, and I get it that those are the cards that we've been dealt. But if I were to vote on it, I would not look at 2.5 Street to be the entrance or exit to Fairview.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Caleb, I guess I understand this is for information, so we're not really being asked for action, but just kind of trying to read between the lines here. The report seems, that if we're looking at just the 3rd Street proposal, I think it's the second proposal, the one that's recommended, I guess, are there any real downsides of it compared to other plans? I know one of the only unfavorable listed is that one property is going to be adversely impacted, but compared to the other plans that are going to adversely impact more, are going to be more expensive, aren't going to be as straight in line with kind of stakeholder desires. Like I feel like the second one is not only recommended or favorable, but like the obvious choice here. And I'm curious if this is more part of the process or if there's significant drawback to it that could justify any of the others.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm not quite sure how to address that. And to me, I'll just say maybe the answer maybe isn't as straightforward. And maybe that's where I'm not quite sure how to answer your question. And maybe I'll even just piggyback off of what Commissioner Ballard said. I do see, access management and the number of driveways on Fairview is a key contributing factor to the mess that it is when you get school that's in at 8 o'clock or whenever the bell rings there at Coal Valley, and you get people stacked in the center turn lane, and you get people that are also trying to come from the west and get into the businesses on the north side of Fairview, and you end up staring each other down because there's driveways about every 50 feet. So I'm hopeful and thinking that whatever happens after Coal Valley leaves, a lot of that problem, at least at peak in the AM, will resolve itself because your travel patterns are going to be different. It could be another school, who knows? Maybe another school buys the campus and you get teenagers that are driving to and from and at AM peak, and you end up with some similar issues. I left that kind of part of the history out. The timing of this here 15, 16, 17 years ago was also when ACHD was looking at an access management plan, an AMP for Fairview Avenue. And without getting into all the details, the businesses along that corridor basically came together and said, no, you'll shut down businesses, you'll kill us if we can't have full access, we'll go out of business and the sky's falling type of thing. So ACHD largely dropped that. But that was one of the reasons why we looked at this and say, hey, let's have a collector at Fairview so we can distribute traffic and kind of get get things, so we don't need so many driveways to everyone have their own driveway. We can use Third Street too, and we can disperse that traffic here a little bit as well. So again, times have changed, and ACHDs, they still have access consolidation type policies, but the access management plan for Fairview is largely dead. So that's sorry, that Commissioner Smith, that doesn't even start to answer your question. But again, I don't even know how to answer.
No, it's okay. It's not an easy question. I guess this is maybe more of opinion now than question, but I don't understand a reason that the recommended alternative would not be selected. Or the recommended alignment, like that, it seems.
You're talking about building Third all the way through?
Yes. It seems like it requires the least takings from the city. It appears to be the most affordable of any of the alternatives. It takes some pressure off of 2.5 Street. Honestly, among any of the alternatives, I think the detached sidewalks are just generally good for the location. Like I'm just struggling to see, and maybe this is the downside of a layman's perspective, but I'm struggling to see a significant downside to this relative to any of the other options.
Mr. Ballard.
Another question, Mr. Hood, you're going through some slides, but Fairview Avenue currently is 5 or 6 lanes, depending on what section you're on. Boise is talking about making Fairview a 7-lane corridor for part of it. Will that extend into Meridian, the 7 lanes?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Ballard, that's actually something that we'll talk about at a future meeting date as well. But yes, the plan right now in ACHD CIP is to have Fairview Cherry all the way to Linder be a 7-lane roadway. We had put a pin in and said, let's talk about some more if we really should have between Meridian and Linder be 7 or 5.
Right. So my only question is not to get into that detail, but I think that that's another factor
Absolutely.
to take into account where you go. Is it to be 2.5 Street? Is it to be 3rd Street or even 4th Street? Because if you have 3 lanes going in each direction, you're going to have a right in, right out situation. You're not going to be able to get across 6 lanes or 7 lanes. So I'm just saying for tomorrow's discussion.
Yep, that's good.
Fairview has to be discussed in that.
Yep.
Or I would suggest that that's a factor to be discussed as well. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lewis.
So the connection of Third Street between Fairview and Franklin has been in our project prioritization lists ever since the beginning. It's been in there in the 2 parts. It's bounced up and down in the ranking, but it's always been there. And it isn't just for vehicle traffic, it's for bikes and peds. There is no good direct north-south connection for bike and peds between those two streets. So that's one of the reasons it's been in there also. Now, we have this 2009 report in front of us, and yes, I mean, Third Street is the clear winner there, as Commissioner Smith said. I think at a minimum, it would need to be refreshed, with updated numbers, just to make sure everything is still good. I haven't seen anything on the current map that would preclude that from probably falling to the first place again. I'm not sure. But also we need to consider, we're not privy to the latest information. There's this report from MDC's consultant that's sitting out there somewhere that, okay. And this isn't an action item for us. Okay. So I'm not sure where to go from here. Probably nowhere.
I tried to encapsulate that in my not ready for prime time a while ago.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Leclerc.
Yeah, I remember going through this, and I remember this concept too, was that we would have, I think, we're looking at one-way streets on Main and Third,
Mhm.
and then Main Street is two-way. And so heavy traffic can go around downtown Meridian. Looks a little bit like Moscow, Idaho, but anyway, I think the thing that makes this so challenging is what Commissioner Ballard said. For the plans for Fairview Avenue have changed dramatically and are scheduled to happen. And so I think we're going to start seeing that project in 2027, if I remember right. And so I don't know if this is feasible anymore, because there's not that little blue extension to Fairview. You won't be able to turn left or right there. You'll have to turn right. And so it's, these are big upgrades to Third and 2.5 to have this happen. So I just don't know if, I think it's reasonable to reevaluate this and see if just using Meridian Road as the heavy traffic bypass to downtown is just a better way. And then we've got a stable future. We don't have this hanging over development. I'm sure, I mean, I had an acquaintance who I think through inheritance ended up with some property on Badley, and they just couldn't get an answer from Meridian City Hall. Was that gonna, where are their neighbors' houses gonna be torn down? I mean, when it's when we have it sitting there in the comprehensive plan and don't act on it in 10 years, that's not good for our development considerations in the community. So I think that's great that the council will take this up, and maybe I think the better decision is to just abandon this idea and go and just use the road we have, Meridian Road, and make that the heavy traffic road, and maybe have to have lanes added to it someday. But I think in the mid to long range, it's probably better to do that. So that's some feedback to maybe change course here. That's what I have.
Mr. Leclerc, if I can ask a question, sideways comment.
Sure.
I get Meridian Road was expanded, but as the trees grow on the east side of Meridian, good luck seeing traffic to pull out. That's a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
I like the landscaping,
No, you're right.
but if it was me, I would remove the trees so you can see.
Understood.
Anyone else?
So, Mr. Chair, I know you said it may not be ready for prime time. I did take some notes though, and if the opportunity arises, I think I can maybe share some of the sentiment from some of the commissioners today. And again, not an action item necessarily, but
No, it's specifically not an action item.
yep.
Personally, I would love to see the council kick it back to us and give us some time to work it. I mean, this is not the kind of thing you can do in a 30-minute conversation on something you had never heard of before.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Chair, my suggestion would start from scratch. I mean, reevaluate. I think Mr. Leclerc was, well, he says abandon it,
I don't know.
but
Let's study it. Yeah.
yeah, I'd go, start from scratch. The plan that's 20 years old didn't take into account where we'd be in 2025. So I'd start over.
Agreed.
Anything else, Mr. Hood?
I've got some notes that affect refresh data, reevaluate, especially now that Meridian Road is widened. council kick back to the Transportation Commission, question mark. So that all makes sense. So thank you for looking at it. And again, if you didn't get a chance, I would still encourage you to, at least thumb through that report and maybe get a good laugh at how much some of the assumptions and times have changed. And even on this graphic, how much is different just in the 15, 16, 17 years. So anyways, thank you for obliging me and walking through that. I'm sorry there's not more information to share or giving you more time to digest it, but
And Mr. Bruno, you can thank us now for not asking your opinion on any of this yet.
I appreciate it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, next item, ex officio updates. And let's start with Mr. Bruner. Anything going on other than Ustic and God knows what's happening to traffic up that way in your world?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, really the only thing worth noting is that this Wednesday, the 3rd, the Commission will be voting on the new capital improvement plan, including the impact fee, the new impact fee ordinance, which includes 2 service areas. I know that's been at least addressed by City Council and the Mayor, their opinion on it. I know that's been a pretty hot topic in the development community, especially. So that will be voted on at the meeting this Wednesday. Other than that, nothing else from ACHD. Thank you.
That's at noon, I believe,
Yes, that is correct.
at the Adams Street Auditorium.
Yeah,
Yes.
let me double check on that. I think
It is.
there's still a couple meetings left there, but pretty soon they'll be pushing commission up to the new headquarters.
Right, but this one's going to be at noon Wednesday at Adams Street. Okay. Ms. Carson. Is she still with us?
Mr. Chair, it does show, and I just asked her to unmute.
Okay, let's move on to Kate Dahl with VRT.
Sorry about that. I had trouble getting unmuted.
Well, you're now unmuted. Welcome. What's going on in the school
Thank
bus
you.
world?
We are School Bus World. We're working on some school boundary changes. So those may affect our buses. It will hopefully reduce traffic some. We're really trying to be mindful of where we make those boundaries and how we have families crossing major roads. So we're hoping that will help with some of our school traffic and in the community. That's about the only transportation update I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Questions for Ms. Carson? Thank you, ma'am. Kate Dahl, VRT.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no updates at this moment.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Price has not joined us, I don't believe. Got to be the first one I can remember him missing. Sergeant Smith, anything other than you're getting ready to get out of here?
No, sir, I don't have anything additional.
Mr. Chair,
Well,
Sergeant Smith, I had a wonderful opportunity about 10 days ago to meet one of your officers, Robert Rodriguez, I believe. And the point was, he came over and introduced himself, and we just had a conversation. And I thought it was a great way to build community spirit. And once I told him who I was and what my connection was, and we talked a little bit about the connection and you being here, and then your replacement coming along. In any event, I just wanted to compliment the officer as well as police force. I thought it was just kind of fun to get to talk to a law enforcement officer, not being on the short end of the nightstick, so to speak.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
hopefully you weren't doing it through your car window.
No. I was getting gas and he was getting gas too. And so He just thought that he was gonna come over and find out who I was. Ms. Bashir, is anything from legal?
Nothing from us.
All right. That does the ex officios. There are no staff communications, Mr. Hood. We didn't have any in the packet. Nothing's cropped up.
That's right.
Okay. You can see the 2, 4 future meeting topics on the schedule, things that we will hope to bring forward at some future date. Mr. Ballard, we added your question regarding what I'm told they call Union 93, which is the beautiful unfinished building across the street over there. And I'm told nothing's really happening on that yet, so stay tuned. Yes, because there was a news article that apparently there was a foreclosure sale, and I'm reading between the lines that there still may be a redemption period, but they've got to wait be 4 to 5 months now before they can really move forward. So it's a ways down the road as to who is in control as I read that article. So, but it'll be interesting to see how that develops. And that's another factor on 3rd Street. If you make that a corridor, it's going to be a busy corridor because that complex backs up to 3rd Street. And Sergeant Smith, we're still looking forward with your replacement. I don't know, that's not a very nice way to say it, but anyway, to talk about Pine Avenue and speeding when they get Ustick and 10 Mile, Ustick Black Cat open again. I asked that we put that off until we can see what traffic changes occur once that happens. And I read the sign again today coming here that thing's supposed to be through by December 31 of this year. I don't think they're going to make it.
The only thing new out there is we did get ACHD to reinstall the speed limit sign eastbound on Pine, so that it'd help us out with some enforcement out there. But we haven't gotten any more complaints along that stretch right now.
Yeah. I remember you said you had, I think, 4, and 2 of the 4 were from the same person.
Yeah, I think there was 3 separate people.
Okay.
Is all, but yes.
Okay. Mr. Hood.
Mr. Chair, just one thing to call to your attention. It's not listed here under future meeting topics, but we are again getting close to looking at our priority list for 2026. Maybe January, maybe February, but it's coming up. We got to have it done by the spring, and that means vetted through council too. So yeah, we're looking at that being a lift. And so then that committee, if you're on that subcommittee, there's a tickler for you anyways, that we'll probably be asking you to come together and start that process to get us really jump started into coming up with our list of priorities for the next year. I may also just, while I've got the microphone real quick, just let you know, the reason I kind of pause and it's not January 5th as certain is I'm not sure. Brian has reached out to ACHD to try to get some more data and try to help that process go as smoothly as possible. There's some change that's happening in that division at ACHD though. So Christy Inselman, who's been here, presented before the commission before I think it's this week or last week. Is that right? Yeah. So she's moving on to greener pastures. And so they're going to be short staffed over there for a little bit. So anyways, as soon as we get some of that information, we'll certainly share it with you and get that annual process of coming up with our highest ranking priority lists moving forward.
Mr. Lewis can hardly wait. Anything else from anyone? I never can remember which one of my commissions or committees I have to vote for adjournment. I think this is one of them. So the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion from Mr. Lewis, second by
Ballard.
Mr. Ballard. Not discussable. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody want to stay? Thank you all. Sorry for being late. Tom? I'm in your bio.
Or,
Just,
oh, just a welcome and open house type
Yeah.
thing? Okay, cool.
yeah, just a true open house.
Oh, good.
Um, well,
Yeah.
Third Street thing got no business going to council.
Well, we don't know because we're not privy to all the information.
Well, what I didn't say publicly was the mayor brought it up two previous months. My meeting, no, my meeting with him.
Oh, okay.
Randy said, "Do not take a flyer." Caleb, didn't have enough stuff to meet each other. I would take 2.5 and third. Be safe. At least get us started. I don't know. I don't know what's going on upstairs. Well,
yeah, well,
I did it here. More than once, get some stuff to us. Talk about it. You do that. Sure.